Welcome to the holiday edition of UNITRADIO. We're going to do this video podcast style for December 25th. I am your host, Brad Stevens. Doing this at a studio this evening. I'm actually at my home around the bay. By the time you see this, it's going to be a little bit later than the 25th, though, I'm sure. I just decided to bring along some external equipment and just try to do this solo. I brought a glass of wine as well. I don't normally get to bring a glass of wine into the studio, so that's kind of a little bit of a fun treat. I hope everybody out there is having a great Christmas. Do really, of course, I wish the best for all of you, for everybody out there, of course, either in radio or in this manner, I guess, podcast land. And it is really nice to be able to take the time to do a little quick shout out and say hello to everybody. It's been a lot of fun to be home, spend some time with the family. I'm sure everybody's just spending time with friends, family, loved ones. Didn't see as many engagements this year, actually. It was down from last year. I guess I did see a lot of people I knew got engaged last year, so I guess they're already engaged. So that's not going to happen again. But I didn't see a big gift of the year. I didn't see anything consistent that I saw everybody get. Sometimes there's I wondered maybe if this year it might have been the Polaroid camera, those Fujifilm Instamax cameras. It seemed like they were on sale everywhere. It seemed like that was the big Boxing Day get, I guess, as it were. But I don't know. It seemed like everybody seemed to go heartfelt and sentimental this year. I got some prints. I got some local art for my sister, for my dad. Got some local crafting stuff from my mom. Thanks again, Kate, to Lazy Kate. Anybody out there who wants to check out some of Lazy Kate's wren and bird making kits, I'm gonna have to highly suggest the puffin kit. And she's just nice to deal with in general. But this was the first year that I had the gifts done. Gifts were ready to go. It was I was saying it for sure around the 1st, and any kind of little bit of shopping that happened after the 1st of December, I was just sort of going out just out of habit, just to try to get out of the house and just try to, I don't know, there's something fun about going out in December. Like, I hate going to the mall, generally speaking, it's not a lot of fun, but in December, it's not so bad. It's maybe like the one time a year you're going to see a handful of people, probably going to get myself a little cozy here. You're going to see some people that you know. You're definitely going to see some people that you don't want to see, because 'tis the season. But I think that's part of what the holidays are all about as well. You've got to get out, do your shopping, say hello to everybody that you don't like at the mall, or downtown, or wherever you shop, or wherever you're eating, or having your holiday family brunches, or what have you. I've got my, this is my Christmas pajamas. I don't know if anybody else, I'm assuming a lot of you do this, but for Christmas Eve usually, so our tradition would normally, we would go have some sort of family dinner maybe. Now that we've gotten a little bit older, it's usually we just have a little dinner here. We just kind of hang out with the family around the house. But it would always be we'd leave the house, we'd go away, and when we came back, sitting on the old bed back there, set up jams. And these were this was the Flossen set that I got this year, actually. This is very cozy. I don't know if you can see this. The quality's not great. It's a nice waffle shirt. Actually, a nice little waffle Henley. I don't know what's going on back here. It's like it turns, it's just a shade of white underneath behind here. I don't know, it's a little odd. It'll grow on me. But, and the pants are super comfortable. I feel like a dirt bag. I've been wearing this for, 24 hours now, since I put it on last night. So, that's debatably a good thing. But, hey. Christmas! Oh, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Maybe I can set this up so I can lean back. Maybe I should have done this before I started the show. Yeah, let's try that out. I'm like, don't worry, for anybody out there in podcast land, I'll have this cut out by the time you get to see it. But yeah, it's been kind of nice. It's been good getting home to see family. There's a very, very small group of people that are still kicking around my hometown that I still get to see when I come home, or the very few that I still keep in touch with that we still reach out to one another. So I'm hoping to do a Boxing Day thing or two tomorrow and go in and say some hellos. Again, by the time you see this, it's going to be Boxing Day. So I actually don't even think I've got my laptop hooked up to the Wi-Fi out here. I'm really trying to live off the grid. That's I'm not that rural. I'm not that far out in the bay. I am in the bay, but I'm not deep bay. So, but it's fun. I'm enjoying myself. I've been drinking a lot of mom's wine. This is boxed wine instead of what I was hoping would be maybe one of her homemade concoctions, something maybe that she's been brewing up. Maybe that'll be something new I can try in the year. Maybe I'll try brewing my own beer. I keep saying that's something I've always wanted to do. I guess you need the space for it, right? And it's the bottling too. You need to have all the things to bottle your beer. That's kind of tricky, you know. It's a big investment. It's a lot to take on. I think I'm looking at like the recorder. I feel like I'm gonna apologize in advance here for anybody who is listening, but it looks like this is only playing in one ear. So I mean, if you are listening to this on headphones, what you've probably already discovered in the first 6 minutes of this is the show is only coming out of your left ear. If that is the case, I apologize, but it's Christmas and I'm drinking wine and I barely got this set up, so fuck you. But thank you in the same sentence for sticking around, tuning in. And of course, we're going to continue with more Unit Radio after the Christmas break. I mean, the studios themselves are still open, and to be honest, for all intents and purposes, I actually was planning, like I said on my last show, to do a best of. I was going to do a best of the week before Christmas and have it come out the night of the 21st. Unfortunately, that night I went to the Hey Rosetta concert, which was a lot of fun. It was a great show. I went to that Thursday first night show. I guess maybe it was very energetic, and I it's a small, intimate crowd, so not that surprising. They did a great job, played a 2-hour set, but that night I ended up going there, and I didn't end up coming close to even doing any sort of best of. I had a list made of things that I wanted to put together, but alas. But of course, I guess going into the new year, of course, I guess I may have already announced it, but I'm holding on to the same time slot. So same bat time, same bat channel. It's going to be Thursday nights from 8 until 10 p.m. So make sure, of course, you tell a friend or you tune in yourself or you check us out on YouTube. I don't know if I'll put the episodes or continue putting the episodes up on YouTube. What I'm thinking about doing is I may do some highlights. So you don't need to hear it all. Like, let's get real. I talk for 2 hours every Thursday. It's fun. And, by all means, if you want to hear the show, like, legitimately reach out to me. I've got all the raw audio, and you can certainly, I'll be happy to share it with you if that's your thing. But I'm going to hope to put together just some more clips, and I'm going to try to integrate a little bit more video. Obviously, for anybody who's following the Instagram at Unit Radio, you would have seen, of course, that we've got a little bit more of a different visual element. I tried to take it in a different direction and give the show a little bit of a different look or different feel. So, and any, of course, comments, criticisms, critiques, pass it along, because I have no idea what I'm doing. This is as per most things that I try to do in my life. I'm really flying blind on this one. So we're going to see what happens. But I'm open to suggestion. I'm not going to say, that I know everything or anything for that matter. But, I'd like to hear if anybody has any thoughts, if there's anything in particular that I guess in the coming year you'd like to see happen. But like I said, coming up in the new year, I guess effective, what's the first, Monday? So I guess as of January 4th, Unit Radio, Season 2, Episode 1. It's going to be a crazy one. We'll have a cold open and everything. It's going to rule. Speaking of cold opens, I guess one of the bigger stories to come out in the last couple of weeks, and I haven't had a show since this was announced. I was a little hesitant to talk about it initially because it did seem a little like clickbait or like a quote taken out of context. But it seems now like it's maybe been legitimized a little bit more. Blame it on that old bad boy right there. But I guess apparently NBC is strongly considering the idea, allegedly, of bringing back and revamping or relaunching or retooling The Office. Now, for me, that's fireworks. This is one of my favorite shows. It was I mean, up until that point, most comedies that you watched on television were your standard 2 to 3 camera sitcom style setup show. And don't get me wrong, those were some of my favorite shows. Like, I love Seinfeld. It's a little weird, but I loved Everybody Loves Raymond. I had a real soft spot in my heart for it. But more importantly, it got to the point where that was the only type of show that there was as an alternative to dramas, hour-long dramas especially. Hospital dramas were huge in the 90s and early 2000s. So when I think about it, when something like The Office came out, and I guess it did start, of course, with the British Office, which was way more systematic and way more like, so I guess systematic is not the word I'm going for here. It's way more, it's way more similar, I guess. Let's make it real complicated. The word I'm looking for there is similar. It's way more similar to British style and a British style of television, British style of humor. But it really popularized the style of mockumentary without really, I guess the British one obviously really acknowledged the mockumentary aspect of it, the fact that this was the BBC making a documentary of The Office. Whereas the American one didn't actually start to really acknowledge that. Like, it vaguely alluded to it in the first season, with a lot of the characters doing, like almost all of the characters doing very intense, like camera stares for effect, which was a huge portion of the British one. That was a lot, and it was something used to effect, like a very strong element that kind of like conveyed the frustration and mediocrity of it all, especially with, a character like Michael Scott or David Brent. But it didn't really, of course, dive back into it, spoiler alert, until way later in the show for the American one. So the American one didn't touch on that aspect of it being a documentary initially, right away. Kind of like briefly just went along with it, alluded to it, and then suddenly towards the end of the show, and by the end I mean really the last season and a half, it being a documentary becomes not really just a plot point, but it becomes a pivotal part of the show. That, these people may in fact not only just be a camera crew, but they're people that are there and they're acknowledged as people. Rather than it just being a show, because there's so many episodes of The Office, especially the American Office, that chose not to acknowledge the mockumentary style of it. And that, other than that, certain episodes wouldn't have worked without it. Like, I think specifically about the dinner party episode. There's so many parts of the dinner party episode that are so painfully awkward, and so many moments where everybody's pulled aside and you're getting, those sorts of tidbits, especially from Jan and Michael in that episode. But it's I don't know. It's a particularly interesting and powerful type of show to watch. And it really shaped a lot of television thereafter. Stuff like Parks and Rec came out of The Office. Without The Office, there would have never been the Parks and Rec sort of style of show, which was actually initially an Office spinoff, for those of you who don't know. Do you know who the showrunner? I think his name is Michael Schur. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he actually played Mose, or cousin Mose of Dwight's Beat Farm, on The Office. And his baby that he spun off was Parks and Rec, which was going to be a spinoff initially with Rashida Jones. It was Jim's girlfriend in season 3, whatever her name was. Karen Filippelli. Is that racist? A little bit. And then, of course, beyond that, there was the ineffable Leslie Knope. It had Amy Poehler, of course, and that was supposed to be kind of the basis, and I guess they were tooling together how the shows would sort of segue and merge into one another. In the same way that later in the show, and I won't say any very much, Dwight was actually supposed to have his own spin-off about the Beat Farm, and that never came to fruition either. But, maybe earlier in the show, it was a little late at that point. People were kind of moving on from the whole thing. It was an odd time for me for television. Like, that was when it's what I consider to be like a golden age of television comedy. So you had things that weren't just like The Office or Parks and Rec, but, you had things that were coming out on a more mature scale, like Party Down, an incredible show. Amazing, super, incredibly underrated. Had Jane Lynch, long before her time. And then you had shows that were coming on, say, like Arrested Development was another huge show around that same time. Very underappreciated at its time, even at its peak. Just fucked around by Fox, throwing from night to night. Really just, It's an amazing show without a really strong, solid home or slot for it to exist in. And, excuse me, I am missing one there in particular, somewhere around in that 2005, 2006 era, but I digress. I mean, more importantly, it was a time when I don't know if it was just necessarily that the shows themselves were as amazing as I feel they were or as I think they were, or if it was really honestly just a different time. And what I mean by that is everybody, I think, grew up with shows that they revere nostalgically in the same way that I revere The Office initially, the way that I revere Parks and Rec, and the way that I revere, say, Party Down or Arrested Development. These are shows that I'm in love with. But do I think that they're incredible because they're incredible, or do I think that they're incredible because they're the shows that I grew up with? Like, do people from the late 80s look at MASH and think MASH is the height of entertainment? And other shows are really funny, but there's something classic about MASH. And do they look back, maybe someone who was born maybe a couple of years before me, would they look at Cosby the way I look at, something like, I guess something like a Family Guy, something I grew up watching? Or, when I think about TV dramas, as someone who grew up maybe in like the 70s and 80s, do they look, say, at a show like, I don't know, what was on back then? Murder, She Wrote? Was Murder, She Wrote funny? I don't think it was funny. I think it was kind of quasi-serious-ish. I don't know. Matlock? Is Matlock serious? He's serious. But, did they look at those shows and think about them being like, that was the height of dramatic exposition? In the same way that when I was, 20, that I would look at the Lost, for example, the height of exposition in my mind for 6 years until it ended. And then I realized that this show that I was really trying to defend actually truly, really was honestly just going nowhere. So anyway, my apologies to anybody out there that I had like a legitimate Lost argument with, because I'm sure there's tons of you. I really thought it was going somewhere. I wanted to believe. Oh well, you live and learn. That's what happens. I don't know how I delved off into Lost Land there. I've been trying to get my family to watch True Detective. I'm thinking I might try to actually go upstairs and maybe see if I can get them to watch the first episode with me. It's not too late, I don't think. It's early. It's wonderful. Sounds great. Ideal. Perfect. Maybe I'm going to get them to watch a crazy, creepy show on Christmas. So what says Christmas more, than weird, seemingly mysterious, ritualistic murder? It's great. It's a good time. To anybody, of course, who's stuck around here for this little brief snippet of an episode, I am going to be trying to do a little bit more of these. I think these are a lot more fun than I'm giving them credit. Although, admittedly, I've rented this mic and stuff, so I guess I'd have to continue to rent stuff or buy things, God forbid, if I were to continue to do a show like this. So, this is something definitely I'd like to do again. I'll definitely be in touch. Again, for those of you who do tune into this, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. And of course, to everybody out there, whether you fucking like the show or not, Merry Christmas to you, because it is the holidays. Happy holidays. For anybody who celebrates there in 2 days, we've got Kwanzaa coming up. It's a great time of year. It's a time of year to be thankful for the people that you get to spend time with every day. We all walk a long road. None of us walk it alone. It doesn't mean we always walk together. It doesn't mean we always see eye to eye on things. But what we do have is we share a common humanity that we all walk a long road. I may not see your road. I may not know your road. But you're fucking walking it. I'm walking mine. And I can respect the hell out of that for at least one part of a season, part of a day, part of a year. I'm not going to respect it every day, though, if you're a dickhead. So, as always, I'm Brad Stevens. Make sure you stay tuned. Of course, coming up again back in January. For January 4th, you'll have another episode of Unit Radio. If I decide to do another between now and then, this coming Thursday, I'll be sure to reach out. But if not, between now and then, we'll definitely do another one of these video podcasts. As always, I am Brad Stevens. Check us out at Unit Radio on Instagram, or just fire me off an email. That'll be unitradiobrad@gmail.com. And this has been another video. I'm not going to say vlog. That's fucking stupid. This has been another episode of Unit Radio. I'm Brad. Season's greetings.